The council chamber of the Galactic Concord had witnessed wars declared, treaties forged, and civilizations uplifted from dust to stardust. But never, in all its spiraling centuries, had it witnessed silence quite like this. Delegates from 100 worlds sat frozen as the humans rose from their seats. The Terran pair, Susan Hale and Evan Ward, exchanged a single glance, weary, determined, unyielding, before turning their backs on the galaxy. They walked toward the grand doors without a word. They did not have to speak. The consequences had already begun. Susan's boots echoed sharply on the obsidian floor, each step punctuated by the council's growing panic. Evan followed beside her, posture straight, gaze forward. Behind them, whispers broke out like cracks in glass. Are they truly leaving? What of the SHIELD project? Without humans, we have nothing. And they were right. The Concord had depended on humanity for decades. On their creativity, their unorthodox strategies, their reckless brilliance that repeatedly saved the galaxy from itself. Humans were unpredictable, often infuriating, frequently unreasonable. But they were the only species who treated impossible as a personal insult. Susan reached the threshold first. Evan paused only once, glancing back at the sea of alien faces. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the chamber like a blade. You should have listened. The doors sealed behind them, shutting the galaxy out. Outside the chamber, the corridors of Concord Prime were strangely still. Automated drones hummed overhead, unaware that their programming had just lost the minds that kept them evolving. Susan exhaled slowly, running a hand through her short, dark hair. You think they understand what they've done? She asked. Evan's jaw tightened. Not yet. They will, she said. And she was right. The crisis had begun weeks earlier, when the Concord demanded human scientists surrender their research on the Wave Shield, an experimental defense grid capable of stopping the void spawn that devoured star systems at the edge of explored space. Humans had built the prototype at incredible risk, losing entire stations during early tests. The Council wanted the technology. They wanted it without paying the cost. They wanted humans to hand it over, step aside, and let the superior species refine and profit from it. Susan, lead physicist of the SHIELD initiative, refused. Evan, commander of the Terran Diplomatic Guard, stood by her, and the Council threatened sanctions. That was the moment humanity remembered something ancient, something they carried from Earth long before they built their first jump drive. They didn't respond well to threats. Back in the chamber, panic was spreading like wildfire. Ambassador Thriax of the Thalca rose, his scaled frills trembling. They cannot be serious. The humans oversee half our defense protocols, and all our long-range hazard predictions, and emergency response, and diplomacy with the Draken hives. No one else is reckless enough to talk to them? Counselor Rel of the Tavari folded her 3 pairs of arms. This is your doing, she snapped at the others. You insulted them. You demanded their work as if they are your vassals. Humans are Concord citizens, someone protested. Citizens, Rel hissed, not slaves. A heavy silence fell. Then, trembling, the youngest delegate whispered what they all feared. What happens to the galaxy if they truly walk away? No one dared answer. Susan and Evan reached the Terran embassy balcony, overlooking the endless silver towers of Concord Prime. Drone traffic spiraled between the spires, forming river-like trails of light. You know they'll come running, Evan said quietly. Yes, Susan replied. But maybe next time they'll remember to treat us as equals, not tools. Evan raised an eyebrow. You're more optimistic than I am. That earned a rare smile from her. No, I'm just stubborn. Fair. Below them, the first tremors of chaos began to ripple through the city networks. Without human oversight, the Concord's logistics AI, a patchwork of hundreds of species algorithms, had begun to stumble. It wasn't failing yet, but inefficiencies were multiplying by the second. Humans had designed the calibration routines. Non-humans had never understood them. Susan watched lights flicker across the megastructures. Told them they shouldn't build a galaxy-wide system that relies on one species to babysit it. Evan nodded. They didn't listen. They will. Hours later, the storm broke. Concord Prime's central power grid glitched. The planetary defense lattice fell out of synchronization. Starport schedules collapsed into chaos. The council reconvened in emergency session, but the humans did not return. A message had been delivered to every delegate, short and unmistakably human in tone. Respect is the cost of collaboration. If you cannot pay it, we will not work with you. At the bottom, two simple signatures, Susan Hale, Evan Ward. By the second day, the council was begging. Shuttles from a dozen species arrived at the Terran embassy. Some brought apologies, some brought desperate offers, some brought bribes so extravagant they strained the imagination. Humans turned them all away. "We're not negotiating," the Terran guards repeated. "We're leaving." And they were. Susan oversaw the loading of the Wave Shield prototype onto the Terran flagship Resolute Dawn. Evan prepared escort vessels, their sleek forms gleaming under the docking bay's harsh lights. They weren't abandoning the galaxy. They were simply stepping back, letting the Concorde learn what humans already knew. Innovation dies when forced. Collaboration dies when coerced. And civilization dies when arrogance overrules gratitude. On the third day, the council finally broke. Rel arrived alone, without entourage, without pretense. She approached the Terran embassy steps with all 6 hands raised, a universal sign of surrender. Susan met her halfway. The Tavari bowed her head. "We were wrong." "I know," Susan said softly. "We believed you would always save us," Rel confessed. "But we treated you as instruments, not partners. We forgot your right to choose." Evan stepped beside Susan. "And now?" Rel swallowed. "Now. We ask, with respect, for your help, not your obedience." For a long moment, Susan said nothing. Then she reached out and offered her hand. "Then you're learning." Rel took it with shaking fingers. Humanity did not return to the council that day. Not fully. Trust once broken required rebuilding. But they paused their departure. They opened dialogue. They permitted cooperation on equal terms. The galaxy had changed, and it would never forget the moment humans walked away. Not with threats, not with anger, not with violence. Just silence, the kind that forces the powerful to finally listen.